Meanwhile, seeing how manufacturing jobs go in the middle of what now looks unequivocally like a trade war. Already, it's prompted concerns by big auto manufacturers, Ford among them, indicating that this goes on, it's going to really wallop us, and it's got to stop. The National Association of Manufacturers CEO, Jay Timmons. Jay, good to have you back. How bad do you think this is going to get?
Well, let's hope it doesn't get too bad. Let's hope this is a negotiating tactic and that the administration is positioning us in a way that will enable us to create some good deals. I mean, for us, when we look at China, and we've been talking about China, you and I have talked about China, the fact that China cheats, the fact that China steals intellectual property, counterfeits, dumps, subsidizes their products, none of that is good. But a trade war ultimately will be bad for everyone, especially consumers in the United States. So we want to get that behind us. We want to get a deal with China done so that we have a level playing field.
Is it your sense that a lot of U.S. manufacturers lay off people if this drags on for a set period of time? Some have said that it goes beyond 3 months. They almost have to. Do you share that view?
You know, I don't want to say that, Neil. Obviously, I don't want to say that because we want to see the manufacturing sector grow, be stronger. In fact, over the course of the last 2 years, we've added almost 250,000 jobs after having lost thousands of jobs in 2016. And in fact, if you look at manufacturers' outlook right now, our last survey that we released, about 95% of manufacturers, 95%, have a positive outlook on the economy and their future. 88% say that they're going to hire in the next few months, and 72% are going to be raising wages and benefits. So all that is really great news. Now lay the tariffs on top of that, the trade war on top of that. That's not a good sign for manufacturers. And we hope that this is resolved quickly because we want to get back to those positive signs.
What if no one blinks here, though, right? I mean, that's the fear. I know that's your concern, that everyone, wants to be the tough guy here and say, we're not going to bend, it won't come to this, right. As you indicated very smartly here, that might be a negotiating tactic, but we've seen such negotiating tactics in the past fail. And I'm wondering then what?
So I think you have to look at, what is the root cause? And I think most countries around the world would agree that China cheats. So it's really incumbent on the administration to bring the world together to take on the problem that China has created, the imbalance that China has created. We hope they're successful in doing that, and that's the ultimate goal. But time will tell whether we're able to do that and whether the rest of the world is going to be united with us in making sure that China is not distorting manufacturing and not distorting the economy of the entire world.
But leave China out of it. I mean, we're fighting wars now with the Mexicans, with the Canadians, with all the European countries, with India.
So that's a whole different issue, right?
Well, it is, but the only reason why I mention it is we don't have any friends in this fight if we're fighting with all our friends.
And I think that's a very legitimate concern, and I actually thank you for bringing that up. It is important for us to recognize that we have long-standing allies in the world, Europe, Canada, Mexico. And yes, there may be some issues with some agreements that were negotiated a quarter of a century ago. They may need to be updated. But ultimately, manufacturers in America want to sell our goods to the 95% of customers who reside outside of the United States. So having a good relationship, a continued positive relationship with our allies is in the best interest of manufacturers and, most importantly, manufacturing workers in the United States. And then let's all get together and take on the shared challenge of China and China's way of doing business, which is not good for anybody in the world.
You know China very, very well. What do you think it's capable of making a concession of doing something?
Sure. They have free trade agreements right now with 10 other countries, Australia being one of the largest economies. They have all incentive to come to the table and negotiate a free trade agreement, a rules-based free trade agreement with the United States, with other countries around the world, because they too care about markets around the world. They also want to be able to bring in products from other countries around the world to service their incredibly large market. So they have a lot of incentive to do this, and I've heard all of the arguments that they can sit around for hundreds of years waiting for something to happen to their liking. But the fact of the matter is, the government of China right now needs to worry about the billions and billions of people there that are trying to take advantage of their growing economy. They can't do that without being part of the global economy. And so it is in their best interest to negotiate with this administration for a rules-based trade agreement that benefits both of our countries and our people.
Well, you would think, Jay. Well said. Jay Timmons, the National Association of Manufacturers. He's the big cheese, the CEO. We'll see how it goes.